Most people live their entire lives wearing masks, trying to fit in, seeking approval, and following paths that were never truly theirs, but deep inside there is a unique self waiting to be awakened. Individuation isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming whole. It's the journey of breaking free from false identities and connecting with your authentic self. This path isn't always easy, but it's the only way to find lasting freedom, inner peace, and true fulfillment. When you embrace who you truly are, you stop living by others' expectations and start living by your own truth. That's real power. Facing your shadow is the beginning of truly becoming who you are. The shadow represents the hidden parts of your personality, the fears you avoid, the desires you deny, the emotions you suppress, and the traits you reject because you've been taught they are unacceptable. Most people spend their lives pretending these parts don't exist. They try to be good, acceptable, likable, and perfect in the eyes of others. But in doing so, they bury pieces of themselves deep inside, hoping they will disappear. The problem is, those buried parts don't vanish. They control you from the background, shaping your behavior, your reactions, and your decisions in ways you don't even realize. When you deny your shadow, you become a prisoner to it. You lash out in anger and wonder why. You feel envy, insecurity, or fear and don't understand where it's coming from. You sabotage your own happiness, relationships, or success without knowing why. This is because the shadow you refuse to face ends up controlling your life from the dark corners of your unconscious mind. But when you stop running from your shadow and choose to face it, everything begins to change. Facing your shadow doesn't mean becoming someone you're not. It means becoming honest about who you really are. The good, the bad, the flawed, and the hidden. It means looking at your fears without shame, admitting your insecurities without judgment, and acknowledging your darker desires without pretending they don't exist. This kind of radical honesty requires courage. It forces you to break the illusion of perfection and accept yourself as a whole human being. But in doing so, you take back the power that your shadow once held over you. You stop being controlled by hidden fears because you've brought them into the light. You stop sabotaging your relationships because you've understood your patterns. You stop living a life of denial and start living a life of awareness. The process of facing your shadow also opens the door to self-compassion. You realize that having flaws, fears, or dark thoughts doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. Instead of criticizing yourself for your imperfections, you begin to understand them. You see where they came from, maybe from childhood wounds, painful experiences, or societal pressure. And with that understanding comes healing. You begin to forgive yourself, and this forgiveness releases you from inner conflict. You no longer have to fight yourself or hide from your truth. Facing your shadow is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. It's about embracing every part of you, the parts you love and the parts you've feared. This integration of your shadow into your conscious life allows you to live with honesty, freedom, and authenticity. It gives you the strength to walk your own path without fear of judgment, because you've already accepted yourself. The shadow you once feared becomes a powerful ally, a source of wisdom, creativity, and deep inner strength that awakens when you have the courage to face yourself completely. From the moment you are born, society starts shaping you with its expectations, rules, and labels. You are taught how to behave, what is acceptable, and who you should become. Slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to build a false identity based on these external demands. You learn to suppress parts of yourself that don't fit the mold, and exaggerate traits that win approval. This identity becomes a mask you wear in school, in relationships, at work, and even with yourself. It may bring temporary acceptance or a sense of belonging, but deep down, it creates a painful disconnect between who you appear to be and who you truly are. You start to feel like a stranger to yourself, unsure of what you really want, believe, or value. Living trapped inside this false identity often leads to frustration, anxiety, and a constant fear of being exposed. You may succeed on the outside but feel empty on the inside because you are living someone else's script, not your own. Breaking free from these societal roles and expectations is one of the most liberating steps on the journey of individuation. It begins with recognizing how much of your life has been shaped by the need to fit in or meet the standards of others. It's about honestly asking yourself, am I living my truth or someone else's version of it? This question can be uncomfortable because it forces you to confront the ways you've betrayed your own desires and silenced your authentic voice. But it is in this discomfort that real freedom is born. When you begin to challenge these roles, you start peeling away the layers of conditioning that have trapped you. You stop being the person who always says yes to please others. You stop chasing careers, relationships, or lifestyles that don't resonate with your soul. You stop living in fear of judgment or rejection, because you realize that living a lie is a much heavier burden than facing disapproval. Breaking free doesn't mean rejecting society or rebelling for the sake of it. It means consciously choosing to live in alignment with your values, your truth, and your inner calling, even when it goes against what the world expects of you. This process takes courage because it often means stepping into the unknown. The familiar roles you've played may have offered a sense of safety, even if they were suffocating. Letting go of them can feel like losing a part of your identity. But as you shed these false layers, you begin to discover the real you, the person you were always meant to be before the world told you who you should be. You realize that authenticity is far more powerful than approval, and that inner peace is more valuable than fitting in. The freedom that comes from breaking these chains allows you to live with integrity, passion, and purpose. You no longer have to pretend, perform, or conform. You stand tall in your truth, unafraid to be seen for who you really are. And in doing so, you open the door to a life of genuine fulfillment and deep personal power. In a world filled with constant noise, distractions, and the opinions of others, it is easy to lose touch with your own voice. From an early age, you are taught to listen to authority figures, follow social norms, and adjust your behavior to fit into groups. Over time, this external influence drowns out your natural instincts, making you doubt your feelings, ignore your desires, and second-guess your choices. You begin to rely more on the approval of others than on your own inner guidance. The more you seek answers outside yourself, the more distant you become from your true self. You may find yourself living a life that looks good on the surface but feels hollow on the inside. This is the silent cost of ignoring your inner voice. Reconnecting with your inner voice means returning to the deepest part of who you are, the part untouched by fear, judgment, or societal pressure. It begins with learning to trust your authentic instincts again, those quiet signals that have always been within you, waiting to guide you. These instincts speak in feelings, intuitions, and subtle knowing. They are the gut feelings that tell you when something is right or wrong, the quiet nudges that lead you toward your true path. The challenge is that most people have learned to ignore or suppress these signals because they fear making mistakes or disappointing others. Yet ignoring your inner voice is the surest way to stay trapped in a life that isn't yours. Trusting your instincts requires courage because it often means going against the crowd, stepping outside of your comfort zone, or making choices that others may not understand. But every time you listen to your inner voice and act on it, you strengthen your connection to yourself. You begin to realize that you have always had the answers within you. You just forgot how to listen. Your instincts are not random. They are the result of your deepest wisdom, shaped by your experiences, your values, and your unique perspective on life. This trust grows over time as you practice making decisions based on what feels right in your heart rather than what others expect of you. Sometimes you will get it wrong, and that's okay because even in those moments you learn to refine your intuition and deepen your self-understanding. Every step you take in trusting yourself builds confidence, resilience, and authenticity. You stop asking for permission to be who you are. You stop waiting for validation. You become the author of your own life, guided by a compass that no one else can hold. The more you reconnect with your inner voice, the more clarity and peace you find. You make choices with conviction, you pursue goals that truly matter to you, and you attract relationships that honor your authenticity. Your life begins to reflect your true self, rather than a version shaped by fear or pressure. Reconnecting with your inner voice isn't just about making decisions, it's about reclaiming your freedom to live as the person you were always meant to be. The journey to becoming whole begins with the courage to embrace every part of yourself, not just the traits you like or the qualities that earn you praise, but also the aspects you hide, deny, or reject. Most people spend their lives trying to perfect only the parts of themselves that are socially acceptable, while ignoring or suppressing the parts they consider flawed, weak, or unworthy. This creates a split within the self, a constant inner conflict where you fight against your own nature. You wear masks to cover your imperfections, pretend to be someone you're not, and push away emotions or desires that make you uncomfortable. This battle drains your energy and keeps you living in fear of being exposed. You become a fragmented version of yourself, never feeling fully alive, always sensing something is missing. Individuation calls you to end this inner war by integrating all parts of who you are. Integration doesn't mean justifying harmful behavior or surrendering to every impulse. It means accepting that every part of you, even the ones you don't like, serves a purpose in your growth and understanding of life. Your anger may teach you about boundaries. Your fears may reveal where you need healing. Your flaws may show you the areas where compassion is needed most. When you stop labeling parts of yourself as good or bad and start seeing them as pieces of a bigger whole, you begin to experience a deep sense of inner peace. This process of integration is powerful because it dissolves the illusion of perfection and allows you to stand in your truth. You no longer have to hide or pretend. You don't need to fear judgment because you've already faced and accepted every part of yourself. Instead of wasting energy fighting your inner world, you channel that energy into growth, creativity, and connection. You become more grounded, more authentic, and more compassionate, not only toward yourself but also toward others. You realize that everyone carries hidden fears, wounds, and shadows. This understanding builds empathy and breaks the walls of judgment. When you integrate all parts of yourself, you unlock a new level of freedom. You stop being controlled by the parts you once rejected. Your shadow traits no longer manipulate you from the background because they are no longer in hiding. You see them, understand them, and consciously choose how to express them in healthy ways. This makes you stronger, wiser, and more whole. Your life becomes an honest expression of who you are, complete with your light and your darkness, your strengths and your struggles. Becoming whole is not about achieving perfection but about living in harmony with yourself. It's about embracing the complexity of being human and understanding that wholeness comes from acceptance, not denial. When you integrate all parts of yourself, you stop living a divided life and start experiencing the fullness of your existence. You become someone who is not afraid to be seen for who you truly are, and that is where real power and freedom begin. Living with purpose and truth means making a conscious choice to stop letting your life be shaped by the shifting opinions of others, and instead allowing your own self-awareness to guide your path. From an early age, most people are taught to measure their worth by how much approval they receive. They seek validation from parents, teachers, friends, and later from society at large. This constant search for acceptance forces them to live according to expectations that have nothing to do with who they really are. They pursue careers they don't love, relationships that don't fulfill them, and lifestyles that don't reflect their true values, all because they fear rejection or judgment. Over time, this leads to a life that feels shallow, disconnected, and empty, even if it looks successful on the outside. Choosing to live with purpose means stepping away from this cycle of approval seeking. It means getting clear on what truly matters to you, your values, your passions, your calling, and having the courage to align your life with those truths. It is not about being selfish or rebellious. It is about honoring your inner voice and trusting that your unique path has meaning, even if others don't understand it. Living with purpose doesn't require a grand mission or a perfect plan. It simply means making daily choices that reflect your deepest values and allow you to express your authentic self. Whether it's in your work, your relationships, or the way you move through the world, living with purpose turns ordinary actions into meaningful expressions of who you are. Truth is the foundation of this way of living. When you commit to truth, you stop lying to yourself and others. You stop pretending to be happy when you're not. You stop agreeing with things that go against your beliefs. You stop hiding parts of yourself to avoid discomfort. Living in truth demands honesty, and honesty demands courage. But with this courage comes a deep sense of freedom. You no longer have to carry the heavy burden of a false life. You walk in integrity, knowing that your words and actions are aligned with your heart. Self-awareness is the compass that guides you on this journey. It helps you see when you are slipping back into old patterns of people-pleasing or fear-based living. It reminds you to check in with yourself before making decisions. It allows you to notice when you're acting out of habit instead of intention. The more you practice self-awareness, the stronger your connection to your purpose and truth becomes. Living this way is not always easy. You may face misunderstanding, criticism, or even rejection. But you will also experience a level of inner peace and fulfillment that approval can never give you. You will know that your life is yours, shaped by your choices, driven by your values, and guided by your truth. In the end, living with purpose and truth is the most powerful way to honor who you truly are and to experience the freedom and joy that comes from a life of authenticity.